Something weird is happening in Australian supermarkets right now. You grab the same deodorant, the same loaf, the same snack, and you're back buying it again way sooner. Not because you're using more, because what you're taking home is quietly shrinking, while the shelf label tries to look normal. In 2025, the ACCC's Supermarkets Inquiry and consumer groups kept pointing to the same problem. It's getting harder to see what we're paying for and what we're actually getting. At the same time, governments started pushing for tougher rules, like clearer unit pricing, and even mandatory notifications when pack sizes shrink. That tells you everything. This isn't a few isolated quirks, it's a system-level habit. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll know exactly what to watch for in 2026 and how to stop getting stitched up. Number 10. Brute deodorant. It used to be the boring, reliable grab at Woolies. In early 2025, a Brute original antiperspirant stick that had been 75 grams turns up as 50 grams. That's a 33% drop in product. At the same time, the ticket price jumps from about $7 to $10 at Woolworths, which takes the unit price from roughly $9.33 per 100 grams to $20 per 100 grams. And even on special from 8 to 14 January, it's still marked at $7, which is basically the old full price for a smaller stick. The human impact is sneaky. You're doing the school drop-off, quick dash into Woolies, you grab it on autopilot, and you only feel the pain weeks later when it runs out early. Then you're standing there thinking, did we suddenly start using heaps more? No. Here's what nobody's saying. When a pack shrinks, brands often lean on new look packaging or a slightly different label, so your brain treats it as a refresh, not a reduction. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Personal care is perfect for shrinkflation because you don't weigh it, you don't count it, and you don't notice until it's gone. Behind closed doors, brands can trim size, retailers can raise price, and the shopper takes the blame. And if a staple like deodorant can pull that move, it doesn't stop there. Moving to number 9. Number 9. Coles gluten-free bread. This one is almost cheeky because it looks like a small saving until you do the maths. Coles had a gluten-free white loaf called Simply Less, sitting at 680 grams with 16 slices for $7. Then it reappears as a 440-gram loaf with 12 slices for $6.25. That's 240 grams less bread and 4 fewer slices for only 75 cents off. The unit cost works out around 38% more per gram. Put it in weekly terms, and it's nasty. If your household goes through 2 loaves a week, that switch forces you into more frequent buys, and those small differences stack up fast over a month. The emotional part is real too. Gluten-free shoppers already feel like they're paying a tax just to eat normally. You can picture it. Toast before work, sandwiches for kids, then suddenly it's Thursday and the loaf's gone. Behind closed doors, the real problem is that less branding can hide a smaller pack while still letting the retailer look helpful on price. Fair dinkum, the label says simply less, but what's less is the actual food. And once you notice it in bread, you start looking harder at everything else on the shelf. And then there's number 8. Number 8. Nestle Kit Kat Mini Eggs. Easter chocolate isn't every day, but in Australia it's a proper normal trolley item through March and April, especially for families doing little gifts for school, footy raffles and the neighbour kids. In 2025, consumer advocates pointed out that Kit Kat mini eggs dropped from 110 grams down to 90 grams, while the shelf price stayed at $3.99. That's an 18% size cut. The price per 100 grams jumps from about $3.63 to about $4.43, a rise of roughly 22% in one change. Now add the real-world bit. You buy one bag thinking it'll do the job, you get home, you open it, and it looks like someone already had a handful. So you go back and buy a second bag. Suddenly, your small treat is $8. And because it's seasonal, people shrug and think, chocolate's gone up. But that's not just cocoa costs, that's a smaller bag. Here's what nobody's saying. Shrinking a seasonal pack works because you don't have last week's packet sitting in the pantry to compare. It's a one-off buy, and the comparison disappears. Keep that in mind, because the next one comes from the same playbook. Number 7. Aldi Dairy Fine Mini Eggs. Aldi built its reputation on being the no worries place, where you could dodge a lot of the nonsense. But in 2025, even Aldi gets pulled into the shrink game. A bag of Dairy Fine mini eggs is flagged as dropping from 400 grams down to 300 grams, with the price holding at $5.99. That's 100 grams gone, a full 25% less product. The unit price shifts from roughly $1.50 per 100 grams to $2 per 100 grams, a 33% jump. For families, that's not. Abstract. It's one less bowl on the table, fewer little eggs to hide, and less stretch across cousins and siblings when you're trying to be fair. And because Aldi moves fast and the packaging still looks familiar, you don't stop to question whether the bag is lighter. The uncomfortable truth is that once the whole market is under pressure, even the discount players start leaning on stealth moves to protect margins. In 2026, when people are counting every dollar against rent and mortgage stress, a quiet 25% reduction is brutal. But the situation is even worse when the price doesn't just hold. Sometimes it climbs too. Moving to number 6. Number 6. Cadbury's Mini Egg Bags. This is the classic same packet, different reality trick. In 2025, a Cadbury Favourites style mini egg pack that used to be 24 eggs, 408 grams, for $12.50 gets replaced by 22 eggs, 374 grams, for $15. That's 2 fewer eggs, 34 grams less chocolate, and a $2.50 higher ticket. The price per 100 grams goes from roughly $3.06 to about $4.01, so you're paying around 31% more for the same kind of treat. And it wasn't just the minis. The same year, a Cadbury Deluxe style egg is pointed out as dropping from 400 grams down to 340 grams while holding at $20. That's 60 grams less chocolate with the same $20 hit. Here's how it plays out in real life. You're in the aisle with a kid beside you, you're trying to keep it under control, and the front of pack is doing its job. Cadbury, big and familiar. The details that matter are in small print. Then you get home and you notice the bowl empties faster. More arguments, more splitting, more "why is mine smaller?" moments. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Brands know we shop by habit, not by grams, and supermarkets know we'll blame inflation instead of looking at the pack. That's not a downturn, that's a deliberate squeeze on value. And it gets worse when the shrinking doesn't happen on the outside at all. Moving to number 5. Number 5. Premium ice cream that's quietly less creamy. In late 2025, ABC data journalists tracked ingredient labels over time and found that in a number of connoisseur ice cream products, the percentage of cream fell by between 21% and 28%. Not the tub size, not the price tag, the actual cream content. The data behind that analysis covered about 11,000 food products listed on Woolworth's website, collected between 1st April 2024 and 1st July 2025, with a selection of 47 products where the key ingredient appeared to drop. Connoisseur's manufacturer, Peters, didn't respond to questions about those cream reductions. This is where Aussies feel properly ripped off, because you buy premium ice cream for one reason: that rich, real texture. When cream gets cut, you get something icier, thinner, and you don't know why it feels not as good as last time. You might even think your freezer is playing up. Seriously, here's the uncomfortable truth. Shrinkflation doesn't always mean fewer grams. Sometimes it means the good stuff shrinks inside the same pack. Brands call it reformulation. Shoppers just feel disappointed. And the long-term damage is trust. Once we stop trusting premium, we stop paying for it. Moving to number 4. Number 4. Hummus with less of what it's literally named after. The same ABC investigation flagged Chris's chickpea and roasted garlic hummus as an example where the key ingredient percentage slipped. Chickpeas dropped from 71% down to 59%. That's a 12 percentage point fall, roughly a 17% decrease in the chickpea share of the tub. The timeline sits inside that same April 2024 to July 2025 window, and by the time we're shopping in 2026, that new normal recipe is what's on shelves. Chris has declined to comment on why the chickpea percentage fell. The human impact is subtle but real. Chickpeas are the filling part. They're why you can call it lunch. If that base shrinks, you end up eating more of something else to feel satisfied. More crackers, more bread, more expensive add-ons. Behind closed doors, the real problem is that it's hard to see what replaced the missing portion because most ingredients don't have percentages listed. So the change is technically disclosed, but practically invisible. That's why people feel like products have become hollow. Same tub, less substance. And the next one is the clearest example of that feeling. Moving to number 3. Number 3, the dip that got smashed the hardest. In the same dataset, the biggest key ingredient drop was Chris's Dips cheese and chive. The amount of cream cheese fell from 60% down to 26%. Let that sink in. That's a 34-point drop, nearly a 57% reduction in the cream cheese portion, and yogurt becomes the highest weight ingredient instead. This wasn't a tiny tweak. This is a full recipe shift. Now picture the real-life moment. You bring it to a BBQ, someone takes a bite, and you get that awkward, this tastes different. Pause. People don't always say it out loud, but they stop buying it next time. And the supermarket still wins, because you grab a different dip from the same fridge. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We've normalized checking the price, but not checking what we're actually paying for. When the key ingredient gets cut in half and the tub stays the same, that's not a minor adjustment, that's the product shrinking. It's skimpflation hiding in plain sight, and it trains us to lower our expectations. But the last two are worse because they don't even need a label change to hit your wallet. Moving to number 2. Number 2, per each, produce that makes your budget evaporate. In February 2026, a Guardian report described a Woolworths example that's almost too perfect. Kids' bananas are sold as a bunch of 5 for $3.70. Right next to them, loose Cavendish bananas are priced at $3.50 per kilogram. At a glance, it feels similar. But when a shopper weighed the kids' bunch at 530 grams, the true cost worked out to $6.98 per kilogram, which is 99% higher. The same person tested cucumbers. Lebanese cucumbers were $4.90 per kilogram, while continental cucumbers were priced at $2.50 each. The continental one weighed 340 grams, which makes it $7.35 per kilogram, about 50% more per kilogram. This is where the human impact is immediate. A tradie grabbing fruit for smoko, a parent doing the weekly shop, a uni student counting coins, all see the same thing, a single price. And a single price feels safe. But safe is exactly what makes it dangerous. Here's what nobody's saying. Per unit pricing makes smaller pieces look like a bargain because the number is low, but the value is worse. It also wrecks quick comparisons. You can't easily tell if Coles is cheaper than Woolies, and if you're at Aldi, you might not even have a scale in the store to check weights at all. Online, it gets messier because per each pricing is common, and you can't see the piece size until it arrives. Then it's too late. The uncomfortable truth is that this isn't just about bananas. It's a strategy that turns size into a hidden variable, so your budget becomes a guess. And that leads straight to number 1. Number 1, the capsicum paradox, and why 2026 feels like the year the maths gets weaponized. In January 2026, new analysis described as a massive transparency fail compared online per each prices with in-store per kilo shelf prices across 15 fruits and vegetables at a Woolworths in Sydney. The analyst called the results completely arbitrary, with some items more than 50% more expensive when priced per piece. The headline example was green capsicums. In-store, they were $9.90 per kilogram. Online, they were $2.48 each. Most people would never do the conversion, but the effective price worked out close to $15 per kilogram, meaning about 51% more expensive by the per each price. The analyst weighed 5 pieces of each item to estimate average weights, then matched those to the same day online prices for the same store. Sometimes per each was cheaper, sometimes dearer. Broccoli was 43% cheaper by each, brown onions 39% cheaper, while red washed potatoes were 30% more expensive by each. That kind of volatility means you can't build a reliable budget. You can't even tell if you're getting a fair go without pulling out a calculator. Now zoom out. Woolworths still prices most produce by weight in store, but online it often goes per each. Coles is trialling an expansion of per unit prices for fresh produce in some stores, saying it's about clarity at the checkout. But because supermarkets aren't required to show the per kilo price, or even the average weight next to that per each number, shoppers can't tell if the clarity is real or just cosmetic. And here's the scary part for 2026. If a retailer can price per each without showing the weight, the item can literally shrink in size. And the price still looks the same. That's shrinkflation without a packaging change. Consumer advocates have warned this loophole can let retailers source smaller produce while keeping the same per item price, and shoppers would barely notice. Meanwhile, government and regulators are publicly talking about stronger unit pricing and shrinkflation transparency measures, because supermarket prices shouldn't be a guessing game. But until the rules force a clear per kilo baseline, the burden sits on shoppers, us, every single shop. Here's the bigger truth these 10 examples expose. In 2025 and 2026, it's not just prices going up, it's information going down. Packs get smaller, ingredients get swapped, and pricing formats get messy, all while the shelf label tries to make it feel normal. They didn't do this because of bad luck. They did it because it works. So, let's flip it. Stop feeling guilty about spending more at the supermarket. You're not failing. The system is being designed to make less hard to spot. In 2026, the power move is simple. Compare unit prices whenever you can. Screenshot your regular staples so you notice a size change, and treat per each produce like a red flag until you can see the per kilo equivalent. If a product suddenly tastes different, check the ingredient list and percentages before you blame yourself or your cooking. And if you see a pack quietly shrink, vote with your trolley. Swap brands, swap stores. It's the only language these systems understand. And here's a practical rule for 2026. Never trust the big number on the front of the pack. Trust the unit price, the weight, and the ingredient order. When you're shopping online, switch the view to per kilogram wherever the app allows it, and if it only shows per each, assume the piece might be smaller than you expect. In store, grab the loose option when it's sold by weight, because that's harder to hide behind, and take 10 seconds to glance at the receipt for any regulars you buy every week, because shrinkflation often arrives with a tiny price jump and a smaller pack at the same time. If enough of us notice and stop rewarding it, the incentives change. That's the fair go part. And if new transparency rules land, great. But until then, we've got to protect ourselves first. Now, your turn. What's the one product you swear has gotten smaller or worse since 2025? And when did you notice it? Drop it in the comments and tell us the exact moment you thought, hang on, this isn't the same. If this video helped you understand what's really happening in the aisles, hit subscribe. We're here to protect your family's wallet and your patience, one trolley at a time.